Welcome to Using Your Cuts a Lot for Print and Cut stickers. This is a series of 3 different videos that cover this particular topic. The first one is going to be about importing graphics to use for your stickers, and that's what this video is. The second one is going to go into designing the stickers, which can involve tracing some of your clip art and adding contour cuts around the sticker. And then the third one will be covering the options and settings that you'll want to consider in Your Cuts a Lot before you actually print and cut the stickers themselves. Currently, SureCuts-A-Lot can bring in over 25 different types of files. However, in this video, I'm going to cover options for the most common file formats based on print and cut applications only. Specifically, the 2 types of PNG files, JPEG and bitmap files, and then finally SVG. Before we get started, there's a setting on PCs that everyone should check because the Windows default is to have it enabled and it shouldn't be. Now, Macs don't have this issue, but PCs do. And the issue is this. I've opened up a folder here that has a lot of different types of files. And apart from my ones that were created in Your Cuts a Lot that actually show the file extension, the SCUT6 or SCUT5, depending on the version, all the rest of these, which are a combination of bitmap and JPEG and SVGs and PNGs, etc. I don't know what's what when I'm in this particular, format. Now, if you come over here and you change the view to, let's say, details, then you can see what they are. But then I'm not seeing the image. So it's one of those things that it kind of depends on where you're at, in terms of your settings. But certainly if you're planning on using drag and drop or, you want to be able to see them, you need to change it so that you can see what kind of file it is, because it makes a difference in terms of when you get ready to import it. So that setting, when you're in Explorer, see these 3 little dots up here, right to the right of view, select that, select options, which is the last thing in the menu, and then when this folder options window opens, come over to the View tab, select that, and then scroll down and find Hide Extensions for Known File Types. Uncheck that. So click on Apply, OK, and now then I can see every one of these, what it is. What's a JPEG, what's an SVG, what's a PNG, because again, that matters when you're using Your Cuts a Lot, knowing what kind of file you're importing. Now you always have the option for drag and drop. So for example, I could take this bell pepper file here, which happens to be a bitmap file, and I can just drag and drop it directly onto the screen and get it into Your Cuts a Lot, no problem. However, that means I need to have both of these windows open, and sometimes I may not particularly want that. In fact, I typically don't. I sort of prefer to use a different way of importing it. But you do need to know how the imports work. So let's start with PNG files because that's the most popular, and you might not even want to stay around for the rest of this video once I cover PNG. But let's start with PNG files, and then remember there's 2 types. There's those that have a transparent background, which is like just it's empty space. There's nothing there. And then there's the ones that have a colored background, and that's not always obvious which is which. So I'm going to import one of each one of them. And to import a JPEG, you can, if you use File Place Image, which is one option for bringing in a PNG file, then it's not going to add any cut lines at all. It's just going to bring in just the PNG file, which is made up of pixels. And of course, pixels, it's like it's a raster graphic, and so there's nothing there to cut. The other way to bring in a PNG file, which is the way I do it, is use the import button at the top, or you can use File Import. Either way works. But I'm going to go ahead and just click this icon right here, go to my desktop, and find the folder where I have these various files that I use a lot in videos. And I'm going to import this crab image because I'm planning on using it in some other videos in this series. So I'm going to bring that one in first. And then I'm also going to import another one, which is also a PNG file, and it's called Cartoon Bird. So I'm going to import it. Now that I have both of them. Now, it's not always obvious. Are they both have transparent backgrounds? They both have white backgrounds? I'm not sure. Well, one way you can do that is on the document panel, you can turn on Show Grid. And then I can see right here that there is, I can't see the grid around this bird, which indicates it's not transparent. Another way you can verify is to come down here to Show Page Color, and then in this little box, you can change it to a color. Like let's say I pick yellow. Now then, it's even more obvious that there's it doesn't have a transparent background. The third way to check it, which is kind of a a recommended way is to click on this preview button. And in this preview window that opens, I can turn off show printable, and now then I can see what cut lines are available. Now, if an image, either way, it's going to put a cut line there, and that cut line it puts in there is based on where it sees pixels and where it doesn't see pixels. Okay, so the start of the pixels, where it sees pixels, is on the crab because it has a transparent background. It puts in that line, and so now then you have a cut line in place ready to use. On the bird one, however, because it did not have a transparent background, the pixels are the white in the background. Those are the pixels that then define the cut line, which ends up being a rectangle. So I would need to trace this particular image. And that's something I'll cover in the part 2 video. So that's it for the PNG. So now then let's talk about JPEG, bitmap, and then there's some others. So if you go to File, Place Image, you can't use import for the others. PNG is the only raster format you can import using the import function. So instead you use the place image. So you go to File, Place Image, or again you could drag and drop as I showed earlier, and then you come down, and then in this list here under all images you can see all the 5 different bitmap types that you can bring in. Now you can bring in a PNG this way, however it's not going to automatically add the cut line. In fact, no cut lines are added. So one of the things you can do is, let's say, if you wanted to, trace this bell pepper, well then this is how you'd bring it in. And you'll see under preview that there's no cut line. I can see the printable, but there's no cut line there because place image doesn't do that. But again, there's this trace function that will be covered in the next video. You can also use File, Place Image in order to do to die cut a shape from a background. So I'm going to bring in this bookmark.jpg image. And so here it is. It's kind of a pattern paper. Let me zoom in on it a bit more. And then I could bring in a shape. Let's go to the library and grab like a heart shape. And then bringing this heart over here, and then I might resize it a certain way like that. What I can do is select both, and notice the heart is on top of the pattern paper, which is important. And then you can go to Object, Clip Path, Set Clip Path. And what it does is it fills that shape with the heart. Now you'll see this big box around from the original image. That's something you don't have to worry about. It can extend, well, let me put it up at the top. It could extend up like this. It doesn't matter. Or you could overlap another one. So it's a clip path function, and it's something that you also see in a program like Inkscape does something similar. So that's basically really all you need to know, is that, again, if you have a JPEG, bitmap, or any of those other rasters, you can bring them in using File, Place Image, and then trace them as needed for your print and cut application. Okay, now I want to talk about SVG files. So when you click on Import and you locate your SVG file and you import it, what you get is going to vary depending on what program created the SVG file. So you may find that when you open up, this may already say group, and so it's a group folder, or you may open it up like I do here, and then I see a group folder. But keep opening it up and make sure you understand everything that's there. The other thing is that an SVG file, these images, these individual parts, like each one of these flowers, it could be filled with a solid color, as it is here in this case, or it might be filled with a pattern paper, or it might be filled with a photo or something. You really don't know what you have there until you look at it. But either way, what I want from this is that I just want to, basically put a shadow layer around it to be for my sticker, a contour. So to do that, I can come back and just close all of this. Now you'll notice when I select this, it says cut. Right now, if I were to send this to print and cut, it would print out this image, but it would also have all of these lines that you see here would all be cut lines. So it would just all be cut into one another. And of course, I don't want that. I want this part just to print. So, but I don't have to make any changes yet because I'm going to add the shadow layer. So let me go ahead and size this down a bit so that it fits here within the page. And now I go to Effects, Shadow Layer, and then mostly for stickers, I tend to use rounded shadow. I just think it kind of looks better, and so it peels off. You don't have any like really sharp points or anything. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. If you turn on blackout shadow, then as you increase this, you won't see any like little holes inside the middle. Okay, and I mean, you might, and that's something else I kind of want to mention is that, as you increase this shadow layer, sometimes it jumps too much. So you might want to come back and say, you know what, I want to go in between. So I'm just going to type in what's in between. And maybe that's what I want. Or not. Maybe you want it, you don't want all these little internal things for a sticker, which would tend to tear. So then you might want to make it a little bit bigger. So you can do that. Okay. And then down here, if you mark this print plus cut outline, then what it's going to do is it's going to get rid of this gray fill, and the fill will just be white. And of course, stickers are almost always printed on white paper. So that's what you'd want. Definitely want it white. Now, there's other situations. Sometimes you want colored around the outside. And so you would give this a color, or you might want some other situation. There's lots of different situations. And that's why, we've got the Facebook groups where you can go and post questions and ask, how do I do this? And, invariably there's a video that's been, already made to cover that for you. But sometimes it's faster to ask and get the reference of a video versus going on YouTube and trying to search through all the titles and figure out which one you want. And we understand that. So anyway, at this point, because I've marked this print plus cut outline, I click on OK. Now then my original layer that when I come back and select it, my print layer has been changed to print plus cut print only. And this new shadow layer has been changed to print plus cut cut only. So that means that, the original import is only going to print, and then the shadow layer is only going to cut. And that's in general, that's kind of like the base case of what people want. The last thing I want to cover involves the size of the raster images you're importing into your cuts a lot. You want to use, if you're on a PC, use Windows Explorer. If you're on a Mac, use Finder, and look at the sizes of the files. For example, anything like this that's under a megabyte, no problem. And then once you get over say the 1 megabyte, like this one's 2.6, this one's 5.7, those are fine to import if you're going to be doing a single print and cut project, just that one image or maybe two of them. But if you're going to make a page full of stickers, you're going to run into lagging, possibly crashing, possibly printing issues. You've got to resize these things. Now, you can't just resize them in your cuts a lot. For example, if I went ahead and imported the Merry Chrissy mouse, which I've done right here, it imports and I can see that it's very large in size. Again, it's best to actually check the file size first just to verify. But when I import it, now again, this is how it should be designed. All the graphics are really big now, and that's a good thing, because if I wanted to print this out at this size, I'd want this quality. I'd want it to be, have been designed this way. The problem again comes in when you start making stickers. So for example, which I did, I went ahead and made all the stickers here, and let me show all of those. Okay, so here I have them. I've added a cut line, which the cut line, that's a vector, so it's very small. It really, the lagging and all the problem comes in when you start duplicating all this. And even if I go ahead and delete this original, the fact that I've resized it down to 2 inches doesn't make a difference in terms of the file size. The file size ends up being 63 megabytes. That's huge. I can't even email that, right? In fact, that's something I run into when people have problems. They can't email their files to me. They have to, put it up and use a cloud service and send me a link to get it so that I'm able to help them with it. And the first thing I notice, I'm like, okay, aren't you seeing a lot of lagging? Oh, it's so slow, Sandy. You have no idea. Well, that's because that original image is oversized. So what you want to do is use a program like GIMP, which I'll show you in just a second, but I used it. And after I used GIMP to resize it, like the original, size of the file was 2.6, the graphic. After I resized it in GIMP down to 2 inches, and again, GIMP's a raster program, which is where you'd want to do this, it was only 146 kilobytes. And then my file size, which I'll show you in just a second, went from 63 down to 5. And 5 means it's going to be so much faster, load quicker. Here it is at 5. This is the one, after I resized it down to 2 inches, then you can see that, I basically duplicated the same number of images. Okay, it's just that now everything's small and it's fast, it duplicates fast, it doesn't lag, it doesn't crash. So definitely do that. Check your file sizes, and you may forget and just do it. But if you start seeing it really lagging when you're trying to duplicate, make make copies of your stickers, then just stop. Just stop and go into a program. Again, I tend to recognize there's lots of different apps you can use. I recommend GIMP because there's both a PC and a Mac version of it, and it's free. And then basically, when you open up the original large one, all you have to do is just go to Image, scale image, and then it's got these various interpolations. I don't know enough about raster graphics to know which one's better or which one's worse. And actually, I think that has more to do with when you're making it larger than you're trying to make it smaller. But then you can just, for example, here I just changed it 2 inches, and then I see the original size. I go, you know what, my stickers, I only want them to be 2 inches high. All right. So then I click on scale. Okay, and then I export that one, and then that's the particular one that I have brought into SureCuts a lot here to then make my duplicates. So anyway, that concludes this particular video. And again, I'm going to have 2 more videos in this series, and I hope that you'll join me there and watch and learn.